I'm up here on Mulholland Drive, overlooking the beautiful San Fernando Valley, before heading down there to take you on a tour. So when I first started doing these Memories of the San Fernando Valley videos, I feel like my original goal was to talk about my memories of the San Fernando Valley, what I remember growing up in the 80s. But I feel like in the last couple of videos, I kind of got away from that idea and stopped sharing my personal memories quite as much. So I'd kind of like to get back to that idea of talking about my childhood while at the same time pointing out landmarks and businesses of the valley. I don't know, just my thought. Let me know, what do you guys think? Would you guys rather I just keep my personal memories to myself? On Devonshire, just west of Zelza, this was Devonshire Downs. In the late 40s, it opened as a racetrack, and during the 50s, it hosted things like carnivals, concerts, swap meets, and the San Fernando Valley Fair. In 1958, San Fernando Valley State College opened up on the property right next door. People had started losing interest in the racetrack, and the last horse race was in 1971, the same year that San Fernando Valley State College became CSUN, which had also taken over ownership of Devonshire Downs and changed the name to CSUN's North Campus. But I think pretty much everybody still called it Devonshire Downs. In the 1980s, this was the place to go to see punk rock shows in the San Fernando Valley. Fear, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, the Dickies, Adolescents, Social Distortion, TSOL, Wasted Youth, you name it, they all played here at Devonshire Downs. Probably one of the most legendary things to happen here at Devonshire Downs was the 1969 three-day-long Newport Pop Festival, which featured Jimi Hendrix, Joe Cocker, Marvin Gaye, Ike and Tina Turner, Brenton Wood, and a whole bunch of others. I can't believe Jimi Hendrix played here in Northridge. Another popular event that happened here every year was the JC's Factory of Nightmares. It was one of the largest and scariest Halloween events of its time. Every year, thousands of people would show up for this awesome Halloween event, but the biggest night they have on record was October 31st, 1986, when 10,000 people showed up. I really wish we still had places like Devonshire Downs. Located on the corner of Balboa and Devonshire, in the 80s and 90s, this shopping center was the place to be. Where Discount Pool Mart now is, that was once Family Fun Arcade. Started in 1973 and full of pinball machines and air hockey tables. In the 80s, this was the place to come to play Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Galaga, and all the other popular 80s games. In the early 90s, it was one of the few arcades to have Street Fighter II, and people would travel from all over to play it. Due to a rapid decline in business because of home video game systems, Family Fun Arcade closed its doors in 2012 after 38 years in business. Right down there on the end, a few doors down from Family Fun Arcade, that was McDonald's, which I'm sure saw a lot of business while Family Fun Arcade was here. Now it's a sushi restaurant, but you can still totally tell that it used to be a McDonald's. And this church right over here on the other side of the parking lot, that was Circuit City. On just the other side of the Circuit City building, and I guess now part of the church, this used to be the Billiard Connection, another popular North Valley hangout in the 1990s. Right here on Victory, just east of Tampa, this collision center used to be a Stop and Go, if any of you remember Stop and Go convenience stores. Sometimes my dad and I would walk to this Stop and Go, and I would get a large fountain drink, mixing together all the different sodas that they had on tap. Now, for whatever reason, I have a memory of walking back from this Stop and Go with my dad, and I had my Walkman on, and I was listening to Lean On Me by Club Nouveau. So now whenever I hear Lean On Me by Club Nouveau, I think of Stop and Go, at least for just a second. So I recently showed you guys this building and told you it used to be a Fat Burger and a couple of different hot dog stands and a bunch of other restaurants. One of my subscribers reached out to me to let me know that originally this was a Pup and Taco. Now, although I have no memories of this being a Pup and Taco, I had a feeling that it might have been because the building matches up perfectly with the architecture of all the original Pup and Tacos. And there it is, notice of demolition. So sadly, another piece of history is going to be gone forever pretty soon. Jammin Jersey has been in business since 1991. Although formerly on Canby Avenue in Reseda, Jammin Jersey is one of those small businesses that through great customer service has earned clients like the Foo Fighters, Green Day, Tom Petty, and Rod Stewart. And because of that great customer service, they've been able to remain open all these years. However, I did just learn that this location will be closing its doors soon, and Jammin Jersey will become an online-only business. So we used to live down the street on Tampa and Sherman Way, and when we did, this was the shopping center that we went to just about every week. This was our weekly grocery store, but at the time it wasn't an Albertsons, it was a Lucky. Everybody remember Lucky grocery stores? So every weekend while my dad was in there shopping at Lucky, I was skating around this parking lot. And then right next door to Lucky was 2020 Video. But if we come over here to this side of the lot, amazingly enough, 2020 Video still exists. It just moved to the other side of the shopping center. This has got to be not only one of the last 2020 Videos in existence, but one of the last video stores, period, in existence. So not only is this building cool for housing one of the last 2020 Videos, I also found out recently that this is where the Shakey's Pizza used to be that was used in License to Drive. A little bit of an update. In one of my previous videos, I showed you guys this Petco and told you how I had fond memories of it being an electronics store that I couldn't quite remember the name, but I thought it was something like LA Electronics. Well, a couple of different subscribers reached out to me to let me know that the name of that electronics store was LA-tronics. I was really close. Still no pictures, just a couple of blurry newspaper ads. Now, one subscriber reached out to remind me of something that I had completely forgotten about, and that's that this Petco was actually Big 5 Sporting Goods. As soon as I read that comment, something went off in my brain and all the memories started coming back, because I actually remembered that one year for my dad's birthday, my brother and I rode our skateboards to this Big 5, and we bought him a bunch of LA Raiders stuff. But the thing is, we weren't allowed to leave our street. So on his birthday, when we gave him that stuff, he asked us how we got it. We had to tell him that we rode our skateboards down to Big 5, and of course we got in trouble and he made us return everything. I don't think we really minded though, because we got our money back, so it worked out for us. So even though the address that comes up online for LA-tronics is the one right here on the front of Petco, I believe that the Petco building was Big 5 and the entrance to LA-tronics was right around the corner. So if my brain's working correctly now, I do believe that the actual entrance to LA-tronics was around the corner on the side of the building. Like I previously stated, a couple of doors down from LA-tronics, this Bevmo was the warehouse. But another subscriber pointed out to me that this used to be another business that I completely forgot even existed. Before this was the warehouse, it was Big Ben's. Another music and video store that, if I'm correct, was actually owned by the Warehouse Music Group, and eventually they just stopped using the Big Ben's name and just changed all the stores to the Warehouse. Another one of my awesome subscribers reached out to me to let me know that this exact Big Ben's music can be seen in the Scott Baio movie Zapped. Scott Baio can be seen riding his bike down the side of the building, coming around the corner and stopping right in front of Big Ben's. You can see the name Big Ben's on the door handles, and when he walks inside the store, you can see it on a couple of displays. When Willie Ames pulls up in front of the store, all these businesses across the street can be seen. And as the girl's riding away on her bike, you can see the famous Time to Buy liquor store across the street. I was really excited to discover this footage of Big Ben's. Thank you so much for pointing it out to me. Just across the street from where LA-tronics was, and right in front of Crespi High School, this was the Ralph's that my family used to shop at when we lived over here. Now, what was kind of unique about this Ralph's was when you paid for your groceries, they would charge you an extra 25 cents. Once you loaded your groceries into your car, you would head over to the cart return. There was a little metal plate on the bottom of your cart that would click into a track in the cart return, and there was a machine that would dispense your 25 cents back to you. While my dad was inside shopping, I used to skateboard around this parking lot, and I would collect all the carts left behind so I could go collect the 25 cents. Right next door to Ralph's, this was Thrifty's, which eventually, of course, became a Rite Aid, and it remained a Rite Aid right up until I believe this year when it closed down, and now it's becoming a Ross, which isn't even open yet. I actually have a very fond and very 80s memory connected to this Thrifty's. There was a single mom that lived in my apartment building, and I remember one summer night we were all in the pool, and she said that after dinner she was going to be taking her kids down to Thrifty's to get some ice cream, and she invited me and my friend to go with them. So after dinner, we went with her down to Thrifty's, and she had a Suzuki Samurai, and that would have been the first time that I ever rode in a Suzuki Samurai. And I remember I brought a DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince cassette with me, and she said, "No, that's okay, I'm actually a Prince girl," and she pulled Purple Rain out of the glove box. So we drove down to Thrifty's listening to Prince, and I just really love that memory because as an adult, I'm a total Prince nut and a Suzuki Samurai lover, and neither of those things were actually caused by what happened in that story, but it's just a really funny coincidence. This is Sherman Oaks Castle Park. In 1984, it was purchased by Malibu Grand Prix and became Malibu Castle. You know, the funny thing is, this was just miles from me my entire life, and I really never came here in the 80s. It wasn't until probably the late 90s that I started coming here with friends to hang out and play mini golf and whatnot. In 1987, it was taken back over by Parks and Recreations and went back to the original name, Sherman Oaks Castle Park. Got the batting cages over here, and then inside the castle is where the arcade is. You can see a little bit of the mini golf course over here. This was the former location of Malibu Grand Prix Northridge. This location opened up in 1974 and was known to have a lot of celebrities hanging out here. It was also known to have a lot of businessmen from the surrounding offices hang out here on their lunch break playing video games in the arcade. Malibu Grand Prix Northridge closed down in 1994 and sold the property to Toyota, which, as you can see, it's been a Toyota dealership ever since.